Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to the next episode of the BRIO in the Box podcast. What's new? What have we been up to?
Well, we just got back from a trip to Banff. It was super fun. We just went to the Canadian affiliate gathering. It was hosted by CrossFit Banff, and it was super fun to drive out there and participate in all the things and go for hikes and do kind of cool stuff.
Yeah, so we have Karianne Meddy, owner of DECA CrossFit, is the country manager for CrossFit Canada. A wonderful human being, a person that exudes care more than anyone I've ever met in my life. So lovely to see her in person, and she works so super hard for all of us in the CrossFit affiliate owner community. Among many things, organizing these opportunities for us to get together in person. And I heard numerous times over the weekend, CrossFit is best when we're together. And I think that's super true.
Yeah, it's just cool to hang out with other people that are doing the same thing or their own version of the same thing in their little area, and, just share all the similarities and differences that we do and get ideas, and it's fun.
So we spent a Saturday, you do some roundtables in small groups with other affiliate owners, asking some questions and trading ideas and answers. A few talks from subject matter experts that came there to be with us. And then Sunday morning, we got to do a shop event at Lululemon before they opened the store, which was always dangerous for me to be in.
Very dangerous. Do not release Jocelyn with a credit card in a Lululemon.
Let's not talk about it. That was fun.
I went over to the checkout as I saw her standing there, and she's like, "Don't come over here."
You're like, just look away. Just look away. Just go away. But one of the things they did was bring in a breathwork practitioner.
Yeah.
So it was just us in the store on the Sunday morning before they opened, and she took us through some interesting guided breathing exercises.
Yeah, I haven't done a lot of breath work in the past. You do some of it when you're trying to sleep. I've struggled to figure it out. What is it called? Box breathing. 4 seconds in, 4 second pause, 4 seconds out, 4 second pause. I always just feel like I'm suffocating a little bit, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but she did a few different ones where it was just like equal in, equal out, and then there was only one pause instead of two, and I found that one really nice and relaxing. But the thing that I always find the most disorienting is sitting in public with my eyes closed. It freaks me out for some reason.
Did you open your eyes to see if everyone else had
I did
their eyes closed?
I did the squinty looking sort of thing to make sure people aren't looking at me like, why is he still closing his eyes? Because she said, when you're comfortable, close your eyes. And then you just wait for her to tell you to open them, I think. So I was definitely having those moments of like, am I still sitting on the floor and everybody's standing up and we're done now? Oh no, we're still going. So yeah, it's weird.
I definitely peaked.
It's unsettling.
Isn't that funny how much we just need to be doing what everyone else is doing?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm cool with this if we're all doing it. And you're like, are we all doing it? Yeah, okay, we're all doing it.
Yeah, that's a thing for sure.
It was good. I'm never going to be a meditator. I'm just not that person, but I do enjoy just focusing on your breathing. I read James Nestor's book, Breath, a number of years ago whenever it came out, and lots of really good points about how much you can regulate your nervous system just with some concentrated, focused breathing exercises. And I often, almost every night when my head is on the pillow, will do that box breathing. They attribute it to the Navy SEALs, but I'm sure somebody long before them had come up with the idea of just slow breathing in out with the pauses in between. And I do find it gives me really easy access to turning off my amped up nervous system and just instantly going into relaxation mode. So I enjoy that quite a bit.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of meditation, and it's definitely a struggle. My brain is always going a mile a minute, and it's hard for me to just stop thinking. But that's the thing, right? Is you just catch yourself when you're doing it and pull yourself back and try to focus on your breathing. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah. And then we embarked on a substantial hike. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
What did we do? 14, 15K up through the mountains and back down, and saw some waterfalls and beautiful, beautiful Banff. So I'm glad that people got to see that. We had affiliate owners that came. I think the furthest one away was New Brunswick.
Yeah.
A few from Ontario. Some people had never been to Banff before. We had Daniel Chaffee join us from France, lives in France. So it was great that people got to see some of Canada's most beautiful parts. So I'm glad we got to do that together as a group.
Yeah, I haven't been out to Banff for quite a while, especially in the summer.
That's your old stomping grounds.
Yeah, and it's definitely changed a lot since I've been there. There's way more just like stuff now. You can tell they've really invested a lot in building new pedestrian bridges and parks and skate parks and all kinds of cool stuff. So it was neat to see. You can't expand Banff anymore, but they're certainly sprucing it up, and it's just a great place to visit.
David grew up in Canmore, for anybody that doesn't know the background of, and people always go, why do you live in Saskatoon?
I know, the things you do for love.
It's always a girl. I thought it was funny that the Earls on Banff Avenue that you used to work at is now called Boss Bar and Restaurant, which many people refer to David as the boss.
I was very surprised to see that close down because that Earls has been there forever. So I don't know what happened.
No more.
But I worked there temporarily once, and now it's something different.
So we got to have really good discussions, both with other affiliate owners. One of the things I realized was, we are the old people now.
Not just age. Like, we weren't the oldest.
Not the oldest humans present, but in terms of affiliate ownership,
yes,
somehow time flies, and we are now among the OG cohort. We're in year 17. Yeah. We were among the first 1,000 CrossFit affiliates in the world. And I'm going to not get the numbers precisely correct, but someone from HQ last year told me that of those original 1,000, there are less than 100 left in the world. So we're in a small little cohort of OGs still doing the thing and
I think
loving life.
The second oldest affiliate that I talked to was around 13 years or so. So it's not that it was a bunch of rookies with us. There was certainly some depth there, but we were the OG of the room. And the thing I love about sitting down and talking with those people is it's not like there was me giving advice to all the new people. It's a give and take sort of thing. So it doesn't matter if you've been doing this for a year or 17 years, you can learn something from somebody else. And it's just great to share ideas and to help guide people that are struggling with certain things and get a new level of enthusiasm for some things that maybe you haven't thought of or done for a while that a new affiliate owner is doing. It's just a great way to share the wisdom and share the experience.
I feel like it's just exactly a parallel layer of how important it is to belong to a community.
Yeah.
And as a CrossFit affiliate owner, the value in attaching the word CrossFit to our business is just that, is being connected to other affiliate owners on the same mission, trying to do their best and serving their communities, to the best of their abilities with creative ideas and lots of artistic license in how they're going to bring this methodology to life for people. And of course, the ones that travel and take the time and show up and spend their weekend doing this are the good ones. They're the ones that are invested in connecting and improving and trying to get better and sharing. But I do feel like it's just the parallel to being in the CrossFit gym as a gym member. It's like the benefit that you get is largely in being connected to these other people on the same mission, being a part of a community. You can buy some equipment, you can buy some online programming, you could do CrossFit in your garage, but we all know that that's not the same thing. So we could drop the name CrossFit off the building and we could keep doing the same thing independently, but it's not the same thing.
Yeah. I love in our gym when we have a newer person see somebody that's crazy fit doing some amazing things and they're just like, oh my God, that person's so incredible. But then that super fit person is like, yeah, but I remember not being able to do a pull-up like you right now. You're going to get there. You just have to stick it out and you have to grind and work for it. And eventually you'll be doing these things as well. It's nice that people can feed off of each other within the classes.
And again, it goes in both directions, right? I had a brand new member in a class yesterday with a 13, 14-year member. And the new lady was like, I just got my first toes to bar. And we were all like, oh my God, that's so exciting. And so it keeps you jazzed up and excited to see the newer people along on that journey and gives you that little enthusiasm. And so it's not just like from the experienced members to the new ones, it goes in all directions. So.
Yeah, we're all on our own independent journey of building fitness over time, but we boost each other up by supporting each other and celebrating the victories along the way. And it's just so nice to have that community behind you.
Yeah, for sure. We were lucky to have Daniel Chaffee with us. He was the international director of affiliates for CrossFit for a long time, owner of CrossFit Louvre in Paris. I believe they have 3 locations, like 3,000 members, very well-organized operation to be able to run that many members through not a very big space that he's in any of the 3. And it was cool that he came there to be with us and hung out the whole time, had a good chat with him on our hike and everything. So that was cool. It's no secret that CrossFit is for sale.
Yeah.
Berkshire Partners, a private equity firm, bought CrossFit in 2020. So we're hitting the 5-year mark of them looking to divest their investment. It's been publicly stated. Don Fall, the CEO of CrossFit, said several months ago that CrossFit is for sale. They're entertaining offers and bidders. And Daniel's pretty open about he has a group of friends, he called them, that very, very wealthy investors that are interested in buying CrossFit. What he didn't say, but it's been rumored on the internet, is that if they are the owners, that they would install him as the CEO.
Yeah.
Which, great dude, comes from the affiliate, from the coaching side, really understands the global perspective of CrossFit from all around the world, knows tons of affiliates. So we'll see what happens there. He gave a talk to us on the Saturday afternoon about, they just called it the Chaffee Show.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. Yeah.
He seems like a very organized, systematic type of person. And I think that's the level of experience that would benefit a lot of affiliate owners. And he's certainly, the affiliates are the front, you know, they're the meat and potatoes of what CrossFit should be focusing on: education, affiliates, making sure those things are taken care of from the top down, and the support that people want is available.
He was talking a bit about CrossFit being for sale and that kind of stuff. And I raised my hand and brought up the topic, asked the question of, okay, I can't control any of that. I can't control who buys CrossFit, what happens in the future. It's a big question mark. It's out of my control. I can't stress about it if I can't control it. And I said, I've dropped into easily 20 affiliates for classes in the last year or so. And I said, truthfully, maybe 2 of them were doing a really good job. And that if there's a problem with the brand of CrossFit, it's that the average person that walks into the average affiliate is not having an excellent experience. So I said, what we can control as all the affiliate owners in this room is what happens in our gym. We can make sure that people have an excellent experience when they come into our facilities. And so I said, from his perspective, because as much as I've seen a few dozen affiliates, he's seen hundreds, way bigger global perspective than I have. And I asked him, what's his opinion on, if affiliate owners were going to focus on what they could control, what's the biggest opportunity for improvement that they could implement in their affiliates? And I had my ideas of what I would answer to that question, but his answer was leadership. And I was like, oh, I like that, because as much as it's esoteric, does it not encompass everything? Why is your gym dirty? Lack of leadership. Why does no one say hi to someone when they come in the door? Lack of leadership. No one taught the staff they have to do that. Why are the coaches not engaged? Lack of leadership. Like almost any problem you could name in an affiliate comes down to lack of leadership from the top. Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of different types of affiliates out there. There are the ones that are owner operated, where he or she is the main coach. They're like running the show. They're doing all the things. Maybe they're new and super enthusiastic, or maybe they're been around for a long time and they're again like losing interest a little bit and they're not quite as motivated as they used to be. So maybe their standards have slipped. There's also the type of affiliate where the owner isn't the operator and they're just paying the bills. And if there's nobody really leading the charge, making sure the gym is being maintained and cleaned, the class levels are taken care of, then sometimes that can slip. There's all kinds of reasons why things might get a little bit out of hand. We've always been very involved in our gym. We've been doing this for 17 years and it's still our full-time gig. We don't do other jobs. We coach more classes than all of our other coaches combined. We just like being involved in the gym. And so we've always maintained a high standard of cleanliness and coaching and, you know, just running things the way we would want it to be done. So yeah, I think it's nice to have somebody who's like, we need more of this. We need more leadership. We need more people setting the example and leading the charge to bring up the quality of the less qualified CrossFit gyms, I guess.
Yeah. Give us something to aim at. And so I've been mulling on this concept of leadership. What does that mean? What does that look like? And I'm like, really, if we were going to sum up most of the problems in society, does it not come down to lack of leadership?
Yeah.
People lacking leadership in their families and their communities and their jobs and their businesses, like people being more willing to lead from the front.
Yeah. I think it's a weird thing because if you're running your own business, you're in charge, right? You, other than your clientele, your customers, nobody's there to tell you when things aren't what they should be. So if you've just always been the type of guy that loves the military style CrossFit type thing where you go into this rusty old warehouse and everything is just dirty and that's just, yeah, I'm into that. That's cool. I like that hardcore mentality. Your clientele might be like, God, this place is so dirty all the time. And if nobody's willing to actually tell you about it, you have no idea that it's bothering people and potentially costing you members. So you need to think more than just what do I like and what am I into, but also what am I trying to serve to my customers? What do they want? How am I going to best take care of my community?
I was scrolling the internet on the weekend and I came across this clip. We're going to play it right now.
See all these dudes who are like in their 40s now, you know, they used to be like in shape and now they just look like a fat turd with no arms and grimace belly. And like, it's just like, dude, you're not even trying. Like, you're not even fucking trying, bro. Like, what message are you sending to your sons? And then you talk to them, and it's like, well, you know, fucking dad life. Dad life should mean you're jacked. Dad life should mean you're living the standard. It should mean that you're showing your sons and your daughters what it means to be a man so that your sons emulate it and your daughters won't tolerate anything less than that. That's what dad life should be about. And, you know, walking around with a fucking micro brew IPA, acting like you're all fancy with a grimace belly and your fucking golf outfit looking like shit. Bro, you set a terrible example.
Okay, so that's Andy Frisella on the Mark Bell podcast. Andy Frisella, if you're unfamiliar with him, is the founder of the 75 Hard Challenge. And that's kind of his persona, is like this tough sort of ex-military guy, tell it like it is, no sugarcoating anything, tell you when you're being shitty. And he has a big following. The 75 Hard Challenge is very popular. And the whole point of that challenge is 75 days in a row. There's very strict parameters of what you have to do every single day. If you miss one of them, you have to go back to day 0 and start over again. And there is no moving the goalposts. There's no modifying the challenge. There's no lowering the standards. And so it's very difficult to do. But the idea is like, step up, man up, and just do it or don't. And that very direct approach, a lot of people gravitate towards it. And a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
Right? So that's like a take it or leave it. Obviously, like, just being jacked and having big biceps doesn't make you a good dad. That's not the implication there.
Yeah.
But I think what he's saying is leadership. If you have a lack of leadership in your own family, you're not setting a good example for your kids for the future.
Yeah, he's definitely a no-nonsense, no bullshit kind of guy. The 75 Hard Challenge is very difficult. There's all kinds of parameters. And the whole premise behind it is if you have to question whether you're still doing it or not, you're not doing it anymore and you have to reset. There's no, well, like I went up the stairs, so I guess that's an activity. Like, no, if you have to question it, you didn't do it. And they do it for 75 days because that's how long it takes to build new habits. And the goal is not to just go hard for 75 days and then fall off the wagon and get back to your grimace body. The goal is to build habits that are long lasting. Mm-hmm. So he's very confrontational. He swears a lot. You know, he's just one of those guys that's going to tell you straight. And he's helped a lot of people. He's made a huge difference for a lot of tough situations. And I think he's worth paying attention to the bigger message.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, he's talking about dads. He's talking to men, definitely connects with men. I feel like the message could be the same for moms,
sure,
for women too. So many women just give up on themselves. And so if we're talking about what are you demonstrating, he says in that clip, what are you demonstrating for your sons about how they should aspire to be as adults? And what are you demonstrating for your daughters? And they should expect no less from their partners. And I feel like moms are the same thing. It drives me crazy that, okay, so you used your body to make some people and now you just don't matter anymore. Mm-hmm. Now you just go to the bottom of the rung, bottom of the totem pole. You don't deserve any time or care or attention or allocation of the family budget towards your health, fitness, sports, pursuits, goals, you know, any of those things. So many women fall into the trap of setting themselves on fire to keep other people warm. And then you just see their mental health declines, their physical health declines. And moms are walking around with their grimace bodies too, with an elevated waist circumference. There's no healthy way to carry excess body fat packed around your middle. And you're basically saying, mom or dad, you're like, my plan is to be a burden on my kids in the future if you're just not looking after yourself at all. And parents fall into this cult of busyness. I see it all the time where people will go out of their way to get their kids to their activities and their practices and their extra things. And so much money goes towards the kids having all these opportunities at the cost of everyone's health. Mm-hmm. The kids aren't sleeping enough. Nobody's eating real food. It's the toss the Happy Meal into the backseat of the van as we're on our way from one practice to another. There's no quality time as a family happening. Mom and dad don't have time to work out or eat well. And it's like in the getting caught up in this busyness, like you have to give your kid every opportunity. Everybody suffers in that respect.
Yeah, that paired with the fact that so many parents work office jobs and sit around all day and again, go out for lunch or don't have time to cook food. So they just eat garbage and it's just slowly creeping up on everybody. And now you look around and you're just appalled with how bad it's gotten. I strongly dislike the mentality of do as I say, not as I do. And if you're trying to tell your kids, well, you need to be active, you need to eat well, but then you're not doing it yourself, like you're not really setting the example for them. You're just dictating what they should be doing. I
feel like the fastest way to lose credibility and respect is to be a do as I say, not as I do person. Yeah. At the CrossFit Level 2 course, we talk about criteria of effective coaching, and one of it is demonstration. And not just being able to demonstrate a movement, like here's how to do an air squat, but to demonstrate the lifestyle of CrossFit. And that builds authenticity and earns you respect as a coach. You can't be a CrossFit coach and say, hey, you need to deadlift with a flat back and eat real food, and then you do rounded back deadlifts and eat gummy bears. That's not authenticity. People pick up on that lack of authenticity really quickly.
I sent you a little meme thing the other day on Instagram, and it was clearly early in the morning, and it was some sort of security camera footage, and the dad is like getting ready in the morning, and his little daughter, his little like 3 or 4 year old daughter, comes into the kitchen and she's, Daddy, are you going to the gym? And he's, yeah, I'm getting ready to go to the gym. And she's, oh, I'm so proud of you. And it was just the sweetest little thing. It just stopped him in his tracks, and he was just like, you could tell it just got him, right? And he hugs her and he's, I'm proud of you too. And obviously that's partially the way they speak to her, that they're super proud of her and tell her, but it's just so nice to get that in return, you know? Yeah. And it's those moments that, he's doing the thing. He's taking time away from his family to set an example of take care of yourself and be a better person, and they will appreciate you for it.
And moms especially, but moms and dads need to let go of this guilt. Like somehow they're supposed to feel bad or selfish for taking time for themselves. Absolutely not. Looking after your fitness, being a better, stronger, happier, healthier version of yourself is you're bringing a better version of yourself to all the people and the things that matter to you in your life. You know, we have 2 boys. It's super important to me to raise boys that respect women. And I feel like that starts by respecting myself and demonstrating being a person worthy of respect starts with me respecting myself first. For sure. And so my self-respect is my self-care, and that I matter and that I take time. And you know, I try to talk to them openly about, oh, I don't want to go work out right now, but I'm going to. Or, oh, I really wanted to stop at the grocery store and buy 12 cookies, but instead I went to the gym. Yeah. You know, and just, there are times where you struggle with the motivation or the desire or making the time, or there's other things I could be doing. And sometimes asking for help. Hey, Atlas, I'm going to go to the 5:30 class. I need you to start dinner. Okay. And he's like, yeah, for sure. No problem. And, you know, leaning on each other as support and demonstrating that all of it takes work and it takes effort and it takes time, and you are worth it as a person.
And I think it's important to reiterate what you said, that it's not always easy, and the kids should know that it's not always easy, that sometimes you have to go out of your way to make it happen. And sometimes you don't want to, you don't feel motivated, but you do it anyways. And you just make it part of your routine, just like brushing your teeth. You know, you don't, sure, maybe once in a while you don't brush your teeth, but most of the time your kids are like brushing their teeth before they go to bed, because it doesn't matter if they want to or not. You're like, no, you have to brush your teeth. That's gross. Go do it. Should be the same thing with working out and eating well. I'm not going to go to the gym today because I don't feel it. No, that's gross. Go do it. You know?
I took Dash to the Marathon thing down at Diefenbaker on Sunday morning, and it was shortly after I'd listened to that clip of Andy Frisell, and I'm just looking around at, there's hundreds of kids and hundreds of parents. I'm like, oh my God, so many people just walking around with abdominal obesity and no muscle mass, and their sugary coffees in hand and their booster juices. And these are the people that are willing to be up on a Sunday morning and get their kids to an event. And half these kids can't run for 10 minutes. And most of the parents couldn't make it around the first 200-meter corner probably. And you're just like, oh my God, things are in such a bad situation for most kids and families. And you're like, what does it boil down to? It's lack of leadership in the families. People aren't stepping up to hold themselves, to lead from the front, to demonstrate the lifestyle. And maybe people haven't ever even given any thought to what are my values? What am I trying to instill in my kids? What am I modeling for them? Because like you said with that little girl, kids will pick up on your language and they'll reflect it back to you in the way you talk. And do you move the goalposts, lower the standards for yourself? Well, guess what? The kids are going to do that too.
Yeah. And I think often parents have the mentality of, well, I'm just going to love my kids no matter what. And that's great. You should absolutely be like that. But in the real world, that's not going to work for everybody else. You know, sometimes by loving them too much and letting them get away with things that other people won't tolerate, you end up alienating them from other people and making it harder for them to build relationships on their own. And you don't want a person living in your house for the next 40 years that's just so dependent on you because they can't make it in the real world. You want to make an adult that's self-sufficient and capable and can go on and reproduce and get married and have all the amazing things that you got to have. And part of that is helping them through the difficult decisions and sometimes standing up and being like, yeah, I know that this is the way you want to be, but that's not going to work. And you need to work on that and make it better for the future.
Dash had a little gymnastics meet, and then he had marathon the next day. And so I was getting increasingly frustrated. He does like 2.7 seconds worth of gymnastics, and they're like, here's a cookie, here's candy.
Yeah.
And then he runs for 10 minutes in this 2K thing. And they're like, see you at the food tent, get a cookie, get a juice box, get a fruit gummies, and all this crap. And I'm like, oh my God. I was left very spun up.
When I came and met with you, you were very
really, I was like, I just wanted to participate in a fun, active, outside community event, and it's yet another bullshit event where we're shoving sugar into these kids' faces in an absolutely unnecessary way. Listen to me. Sugar is a toxin, and sugar is the alcohol of the child. And the fact that we are not only allowing kids to eat it, but shoving it into their world at every single opportunity is insane, and it needs to stop. The kids are not okay.
Yeah.
And that, what are we modeling for them? Oh, you do the tiniest amount of effort and you deserve a treat. And then I'm scrolling the internet that day and I see this coach that comes up on the reels, and he's railing against how people have this treat yourself culture of like, oh, well, I ran 5 miles today, so it's okay that I ordered pizza for dinner. I'm like, well, where do you think these adults got that idea? They got it as kids, because at every soccer game, gymnastics meet, running event, track and field day at school, it's here's some candy, here's some Gatorade. Like I've said numerous times, Dash came home from school one day and was like, I had Sour Patch Kids today. I was like, where did you get Sour Patch Kids from? He goes, the gym teacher. I'm like, what are we doing here? This is crazy. And so Sunday morning, he's like, oh, we're supposed to meet at the snack tent after. And I'm like, no. I'm like, Dash, it's 11 in the morning on a Sunday. You do not need to eat sugary bullshit.
Yeah.
And I said it loud enough that 6 other people around me heard me, hopefully. And I was like, you're better than that.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to instill in him is you don't have to do this just because everybody else is doing it. You know, say no to drugs, but the drug is sugar.
Yeah. I think it's perfectly fine to have treats with your kids once in a while, but those should be its own separate thing.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be, we do an activity, therefore we get a treat. You do the activity because the activity is supposed to be fun or challenging or beneficial in its own way. You don't need to be like, well, we'll go on this hike and I'll give you a bag of candy. You say, we're going to go on a hike because nature is beautiful and it's good for you. And these are the types of things that we do. And then if another day you're like, we're going to go for ice cream because we're going to have ourselves a little ice cream date and it's going to be fun in its own separate, different thing. Mm-hmm. We need to stop with the treat culture where it's just like anything you do requires a treat or a snack or some sort of incentive that's food-based.
Mm-hmm. And so those of us in this bubble that know better, anywhere you're in a position of influence, we need to push back because this is like a tsunami of bullshit that is overtaking society and kids in the next generation. And so whether you're a teacher or a community event organizer in some kind of group or church group or school, anything, if you're in a position of influence and someone is like, let's buy candy for the kids at the end, just say no.
Yeah.
Just push back and say no. I think the kids would have been perfectly fine with doing their run and getting a medal.
Yeah.
Here's a glass of water. It's like, there's no need for any of the extra stuff in there. And then if we can get ourselves out of that, here's the tiniest bit of effort, eat some candy, then we don't have adults that are like, oh, I cleaned my room today, I get a Frappuccino with 56 grams of sugar in it. Or, oh, I went to the gym today, I get to order pizza. And just this weird treat culture ingrained habit that's so hard to break as an adult.
We don't do a lot of ice cream days or treat days or anything like that. So when we do, they're a special thing and the kids recognize that. And those are the types of things that I want to be able to do with them as a family. Mm-hmm. And so when I hear about them getting treats at school, I'm less likely to want to give them more treats on my own. And I feel like they're taking something away from me, that those are the things that I want to be able to do with them. Just like birthday cake is only special because it's your birthday. I want to have those special nights as a family that don't involve the school or other people giving them out a bunch of garbage. I feel like if you do it too often, it's no longer special and it's just not good for them. So I wish schools would just stop all of that altogether and let the kids do it with their family. And that can be a special thing that they do together. And that's okay once in a while. But when it's every day, all the time, there's always just snacks and treats and congratulations, you did a sit-up. Here's a gummy bear, you know? It's just out of hand.
Okay, so the hot lunch thing at school is called Healthy Hunger.
Oh, God.
Who was the Healthy Hunger supplier yesterday?
Couldn't believe this. We got an email. Next healthy hunger is McDonald's. I was like, you guys need to change your name. It's always like pizza, McDonald's. There's never anything actually healthy.
Booster juice.
Yeah.
Like that kind of
It's just, it's so ridiculous. If you want to buy that kind of stuff as a treat once in a while, great. But don't call it a healthy hunger snack. You know, like it's a junk food. It's a treat day.
Yeah. I never anticipated in trying to raise healthy kids that the school would be the greatest obstacle to that. I just hadn't really considered that would be where they would get the majority of the sugar in their life would be at school, of all things. So at the start of this year, I reached out to Dash's teacher and just said, hey, we just don't do that. We don't feed him any of that kind of stuff. If you can just please don't give him any food. Just don't give him anything to eat. We'll send plentiful lunches. The kid is not starving.
Yeah.
And I also offered to donate a couple $100s to the classroom for her to go buy all the stickers, Hot Wheels, erasers, whatever little things she would like to have to be able to reward kids for jobs well done or being good humans or any of those kinds of things that aren't candy and treats. And she was like, thank you for the offer. I also don't love plasticky, junky toys. I'm like, fair enough.
Yeah.
Either. But at the very least, I tried. And she just said, yeah, now we have so many kids of different like cultural backgrounds and preferences and religious backgrounds and food choices that go along with all those things. She's like, we're not sharing food at all. She's like, if we have a movie afternoon, like before Christmas break, she's like, I'm just going to get the kids to bring their own snacks.
Yeah.
And I'm like, perfect. So anywhere that you can be nice, but reach out and just say, hey, I'd prefer if you don't.
Yeah.
And make it about your own kid if you want. Are there different types of fundraisers we could do instead of, the one day Atlas came home. It was a crush for your crush around Valentine's Day. He came home with 6 cans of soda and we just dumped them all down the drain, of course. But I was like, other schools were doing roses.
Yeah.
Like, why would we do that? That sounds great. Still a fundraiser for the school. Doesn't have to be, here's, 150 grams of sugar. This is ridiculous.
Because somebody thinks you're cute. Yeah. I remember back in my school days, it was just gold stars on a thing. You did something and you got a little gold star under your name, and kids gave a shit. They were like, yeah, gold stars, yay. And there was no candy, there was no treats. It was just a little thing that the teacher could do to make the kid feel special. And let's just go back to that. You look at some of the kids' lunches at schools, and every day there's cookies, cupcakes, snack packs, whatever. Your kids don't need treats every single day. And they certainly don't need them at lunch as well.
Yeah.
Are you doing that at dinner too? Like what is going on behind the scenes here? And when you see all these kids that are pre-diabetic and can't run 2K without stopping 4 times, well, of course this is happening, because look what's going on in their lunches. If your friends have other garbage, that's on them and their family. We can't control that, but you don't get to participate in that.
And we do it as a value system of, we don't do that. That's not who we are. We don't engage in that stuff. We don't do those things to ourselves. We set ourselves up to have a healthy body and feel better and a healthy brain and a good sleep. We just don't play that.
Homie, don't play that.
Homie, don't play that.
That is what is that show? In Living Color reference?
Oh, is that what that is?
Yeah.
It just lives in my brain. I don't know where it came from.
Oh yeah, In Living Color, Homie the Clown.
So I feel like in general, the theme of what we wanted to talk about today was leadership.
Yeah.
That's where it started with. I asked Daniel Chaffee, how could we as affiliate owners do a better job in general? Work on leadership. How could people be doing a better job in their families? Work on leadership. Demonstrate what kind of person you want your kids to grow up to be. Lead from the front. And Andy's got that real gruff, no bullshit kind of sense that I gravitate towards that. I can disagree with some things that he says, but I appreciate it too. And we probably lean more towards the side of, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you that things are healthy when they aren't. I'm not going to tell you that sugar's okay. Mm-hmm. That we tend to be the kind of people that will tell you the truth.
Yeah, I think you need to be the change you want to see in the world. Yeah. And there's way too many people that don't do the research and don't pay attention and just listen to what the colorful square on the wall tells them and eats all kinds of garbage and thinks it's fine and it's affecting their kids. I don't care if grown-ups decide, I don't give a shit about my health. I'm just going to eat what I want to eat and I'm not going to work out. I'm just going to live the life I would have lived. That's fine. What drives me up the wall is when they reproduce and they push that same thing on their kids, because the kids don't get to choose. And that type of life is comfortable and easy and it feels great in the moment, but eventually it catches up with you. And when you're setting your kids up for failure because they're pre-diabetic, they're overweight, they're inactive, they're incapable of doing things that they should be able to do, you are ruining their future. And they have no control over that. So do what you want to do for yourself, but do better for your kids if you decide to have kids. Part of raising them is to making them healthy, functional, capable adults. And we just have to put our stick in the stand and be like, I'm not going to stand for this anymore. I'm not going to let people just be all willy-nilly. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine to have a bowl of sugar for breakfast. That's a good, positive way to start my day. Enough is enough. So whenever people start to broach that kind of stuff, we just say, yeah, that's not what we do. We're not into that. We won't let our kids drink that stuff. Whenever Dash goes to a birthday party or anything, I always say, we don't do pop, we don't do juice. Just make sure he doesn't drink any of that. And we tell Dash as well, remember, that's part of our family values. We don't drink sugar. That's just not what we do. So you can have water, we'll send a fizzy water with him if he wants. But even in those settings, we don't want him participating at that level. We'll let him have a little bit of birthday cake, and that's plenty. He doesn't also have to drink liquid sugar.
You know what's crazy? So back to where I was saying, like, it's 11 a.m. on a Sunday. You don't need to eat candy and treats. There are people out there in the world that would hear me say that and think that I am in the wrong or that I'm going to create a kid with an eating disorder.
Yeah.
Because dare I say that sugar isn't good for you or that there are bad foods, and caution him away from making certain choices. There are literally people in the world that would think that I'm doing damage to him as a result of that. That's how upside down and backwards everything is. Some people have a Stockholm syndrome with the oppressor, with the processed food companies, to the point that they'll defend that not just people, but kids should be given unrestricted access to ultra processed foods. And if you don't, it's an eating disorder.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, that's like crazy town where everything is upside down and backwards. We absolutely need to say there are bad foods. There are bad foods. There are some foods that serve no purpose in any way are they good for you whatsoever.
It'll say on the box, high in energy.
Literally the best thing they can say is, this has calories. You're like, okay.
I know. It's so mind-boggling how many people out there have just gotten so comfortable and every day's a treat. You just got to like moderate everything in moderation. It's like, well, no, like you don't have a little bit of cocaine every day. We all acknowledge that cocaine is not good for you and it's not a necessity. Food is a necessity, but processed sugar is not.
It's not food.
Yeah. All those ultra processed foods are unnecessary. We don't need to consider those mandatory foods. All the other things that are actually from nature and real can be the mandatory foods that you need. And then those ultra processed garbagey things that are delicious can be a treat once in a while. But if it's a treat every single day, it's no longer a treat. That's just your diet. That's not cool.
That's not cool. So back to leadership. Know what you're about, know your values, and then live them authentically. Because you can't say, I value health and fitness, and then walk around with a waist circumference greater than half your height. Like those two things just don't coexist. So you have to not only have your values, but live them, lead from the front, demonstrate the lifestyle, and that builds authenticity and credibility, respect from your peers, your coworkers, your family, your kids, that sort of thing. And then in any position where you have some influence over those things, especially kid-related stuff, try to push back.
Yeah.
Push back against the tsunami of sugar that's just overtaking kids. And there's plenty of ways for kids to have fun, to have rewards, to feel good about doing fun activities that don't need to involve red dye number 40 and 50 grams of sugar. So.
Yeah. Being a leader is hard, but that's why it's beneficial. Most things in the world that are hard are probably good for you. And we spend too much of our time being comfortable and doing the easy thing. So I think it's just time to do the hard thing. Be a leader, demonstrate good morals, good values, embrace the suck, as they say, and help your kids do the same.
Final quote.
Comfort
without purpose is not peace, it's decay. Too much comfort is decay, not peace.
That's true. And if you look around, there's a lot of decayed people out there.
Decay.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody.
All right, see you in the next one. One was like, hey, everybody. I'm Jocelyn Riley.
Resting your nose on it. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast. Today we're going to talk about something. I forget what.